What's the thing that excites you the most about AI for the next 3 to 5 years?
The next 3 to 5,
Or it could be the one that scares you the most, whatever you want to do.
I could possibly do both. The thing that scares me the
Yeah, let's do
most
both.
is that everybody is spending a lot of money and using a lot of resources doing things the wrong way, because they feel like it's the right way to do it, and they won't listen
Mhm.
to anyone else or even try to take in outside perspectives from the bubbles that they're used to. Uh, that's the thing that scares me the most. The ego of the self-made people, the people that say they're self-made, and there's not like literally not a single person that's self-made in this entire planet.
100%.
So everybody has some kind of help from somebody from somewhere at some time, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not, or you're able to recognize it or not. That's the difference.
Hmm.
But I think that's what ego is an enemy will help people understand. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of worlds. There are 8 billion people on Earth. There are 8 billion variations of Earth.
Welcome to the Enhanced AI Partners Podcast, the show where we explore how leaders are scaling in a fast changing industries through people, process, and pragmatic AI. I'm Johan Mejia, founder of Enhanced AI Partners, where we help fintech and SaaS leaders scale smarter using AI powered content, outbound systems, and workflow automation to grow without adding headcount. This podcast is where those lessons come to life with builders, innovators, and investors who are shaping how AI is adopted in the real world. Today I'm joined by Michael Polk, founder of Stockpile AI, a company arguing that the future of AI won't be won by the biggest models, but by the most efficient, domain specific, and trustworthy ones. In just the past few weeks, Michael's published Beyond the Valley on why geography and constraints produce better AI, shared the path beyond AGI, framing for sustainable value aligned systems, and also led an MVP builder session with SGI and Black Tech Saturdays, and even brought local youth into the journey with a student produced stockpile commercial. It's a great snapshot of a founder shipping, teaching, and engaging community while building around small language models. We'll unpack why SLMs matter, what they unlock for finance and beyond, and what the next 3 to 5 years of AI innovation may really look like. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you. What a great introduction. I appreciate that.
Appreciate it. So let's start with your founder journey and what brought Stockpile AI into life. So Michael, I mean, what was that aha moment that made you start Stockpile AI? What problem did you see that made you start it?
Yeah, so my aha moment was I was looking for jobs post college. So I had to take a extended hiatus because I had to heal because I had a clothing store that had got robbed that I was one of the co-founders of, and I got shot in the process, and then
Oh, damn.
I had to heal up and all these things, and I was going out for job searches, and the jobs were like, well, what's this gap? And it was during the summer as well too, and I just couldn't say, hey, yeah, I got shot or whatever. Nobody's hiring that
Yeah.
guy. So I was just like, I just took some time off after graduating, and just like nobody just wanted to believe that story and hire me.
Hmm.
So then I remember like the stock market is a place where people can grow money, and like I could work at it kind of myself, like a self-employment. And
Hmm.
so I went to go try to become a trader for myself, like invest in the stock market, see what I can do. And the tool at the time, this was 2012, was E-Trade. And
Oh.
E-Trade online trades were like, I think I want to say 1999 a trade or something like that.
Hmm.
And the interface wasn't truly helpful. You had to like type in the exact stock ticker in order for it to come up. You couldn't just type in
Hmm.
like Nike and see Nike stock. You had to type in like NKE. So you have to know that. And then Google wasn't was not producing stock ticker names as easily as well. So you had to like do this like hunt almost for companies to invest in. And it took me like 3 hours before I was able to be able to make my first trade. And I just thought to myself, like, there's no way anyone else that I know is going to sit here for 3 hours and do this. I only did it because it's just like I have this technology is not going to defeat me. Like, I'm going to figure out how to do
Mhm.
exactly what I want to do. And then when I finish, I'll say, aha, I'll beat you, whatever. No matter how hard you made these barriers, they weren't hard enough. So at that moment, I was just like, there has to be a better way to do this. More people should be able to do this in a much easier fashion, and they should also be able to do whatever they want on their computer. And if they visit a website, they should be able to see if that website's company is publicly traded, and should be able to invest right then and there on that website. So it actually started as like a little widget, like a download widget that would just like sit in the corner of your browser. And if you
Mhm.
visited a site that was publicly traded, it would pop up and let you know, like, hey, this is the company publicly traded as, this is the current stock ticker. If you want to buy type situation. That was the initial idea in 2012. So talked to a few friends that were in finance, talked to my brother who worked at JP Morgan at the time. He said like a tool like that didn't exist, that basically populated stock tickers from anything that you saw. They said they would love it. So that's when I knew like I had some kind of an idea
Yeah,
that could work
exactly.
for something. Uh, so yeah, that was my aha moment.
That's fascinating. And if you had to put your mission or Stockpile's AI mission in one line, what would it be?
In one lane, Stockpil's mission is to find a better way to do everything.
Yeah. Because, like you were saying, 3 hours
Yeah,
is. I mean, it took you
yeah,
three
me three
hours.
hours.
Imagine what it would have taken someone else that wasn't as tech savvy.
Yeah, some of my friends it probably took them three
And
weeks.
was there any turning point when you realized smaller models could deliver more value than bigger ones?
Um, so initially, when I had the idea for Stockpile, that's when I realized we needed artificial intelligence, right? Because you needed, well, not artificial intelligence, machine learning. You
Hmm.
needed machine learning to basically learn the entire, all the publicly traded brands and companies there are in the U.S. on the U.S. stock market, or S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial, basically New York Stock Exchange, right? All these things. Um, and that's when I realized like, oh, in doing that and developing the data for to train this machine learning model, um, it
Hmm.
was basically like uh, a private database that we were developing just on this information. Like I'm sure BlackRock has their own, like all these institutions have their own version of it, but it's not like available to everybody. Um,
Hmm.
so that's what we were doing. And then my current developer, who is well versed in AI and AR, he was basically saying like, yeah, it's just like a something for the computer to call to and be able to say this is this, this is this, this is this whenever it sees it. Um, so this was before OpenAI and ChatGPT released large language models. But once they did, it did move up our timeline, but it was still like uh, it's so much information in those large language models. It's so much data that you
Hmm.
have to query, and we're only asking about this one specific thing in this one specific lane. That we shouldn't have to go into the sea in order to figure these things out. We should be able to just like go to the faucet, turn it on a little bit, whatever we need, and keep it
Hmm.
moving. So that's when we realized like what we were developing was a small language model because it was going to be fine tuned specifically for our app and specifically for this industry.
Thank you, Michael. And that actually ties in into our next question in the next segment. the case for small language models. Why do you believe small language models are the real future of AI?
Again, just because large language models are just it's like telling somebody to drink the ocean. It's like literally that much data, and it's non-stop, unfiltered, um, just surveillance data, basically. All the data just comes from like books and articles and your internet search histories and all these things, right? Who else knows what it comes from? It could come from our text messages, comments on
Yeah.
social media sites. Like we have no clue, like how much we've been surveilled and how that has been used against us in a way
Hmm.
that's not beneficial to everybody. So it's the next evolution in information, right? If you have all the information now, we have all the information in one place that everybody has access to this information, but everybody might not know how to access and use this information correctly. And then it also costs so much in resources to go find a crew basically to build a ship, run the ship, to go to the ocean just for one piece of fish, and then take this big old ship back to the shore. And every time you want a piece of ship, you have to like get 30 people to go on a huge boat to get you one piece of fish and come back. That's just is nonsensical resource usage. So where the small language models come into play is every industry and every person, community, city, organization can refine all this information and make it applicable to a specific thing. So then when that specific thing gets queried, it can go to that data center for that small language model where it could be running on one laptop versus
Hmm.
a huge data center using however many gallons of water for every query.
Yeah, I think a few months back, ChatGPT released a note saying every time someone typed in "thanks," that was that meant X amount of money charged, or that they had to spend just to process the word "thanks,"
Yeah,
ChatGPT. So kind of goes into what you were saying.
because it does so much thinking from that thing. It's like, okay, well, we've been talking about this, and then like DeepSeek is great for explaining what the problem analysis it is that you're giving it. Like it goes through all
Hmm.
this thinking just to say thank, just for it to come back. Oh, you're welcome. So it's like we don't we there's a better way to do it. Once we know this, once we have this information, let's just try this different way, even though we didn't come up with it, like OpenAI or Anthropic or none of these places might have came up with the idea. Um, it's still like, okay, we can invest a small amount of dollars to see if it kind of works. You know, it's the logical next step to me personally.
Yeah, so you mentioned, I mean, SLMs will bring not only more efficient queries, but also there is advantages in cost, interpretability, and even trust. So in finance and with Stockpile AI, have you seen any concrete example where a smaller model outperformed a larger one,
Um,
or an SLM beating a general LLM?
not yet because we're still like developing this technology.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm pretty sure if BlackRock or one of these large hedge funds came out and said, "Yeah, well, we train our own models on this specific thing," um, then you can see the differences. I guess people can see the difference because people are kind of generating their own small language models. Like when you use
Exactly.
OpenAI and stuff, and you're in the chat, it's developing something specifically for you. It just has to go back to this huge data center to respond to you. but it understands what
Hmm.
you're asking it and like the history of the things that you've asked it yourself. It's just again going to the ocean every time to get the answer, when that might not necessarily be the case for every answer. So that's the case in point in itself is just the general human beings queries where they feel like, oh, this ChatGPT understands me and it knows me and it knows how I type and talk. It's like, yes, it's kind of on the path of developing a small language model for you. It's just using trillions of parameters versus using 1 billion to 8 billion parameters.
Hmm. And going into the next segment for adoption and challenges, what are the biggest adoption hurdles you see for SLMs in general?
Um, Biggest is the people pushing LLMs and whatever statistics that these AI companies and metrics these AI companies measure themselves, create to measure themselves by that nobody knows what they mean. Or nobody knows like what it means that it can do this time this much faster. It's like, but you created the metric. So if you
Hmm.
create a test based on what you're learning, of course you're going to pass the test. It's like those videos like on TikTok, stuff where you see like people do random obscure skills, and it's like, okay, of course you're the best. You're the only person ever tried to do this thing. Like, why wouldn't you be the best at it?
Yeah, it's that like craziness with the Guinness World Records
Yeah,
type of thing where I'm the best at, I don't know, hanging from a tree upside down while holding a watermelon at the same time. It's like,
if that's what you want to become the best at,
and
okay.
so, and how do you help clients understand when smaller is better or smaller can be better?
um, I try to explain it like uh, almost like the internet. When the internet first came out, it was
Hmm.
just nobody really knew what it was, and everybody had access to whatever was on there at the time. Then it took Google to say, "Hey, we're going to organize this information and make it searchable." So that just compressed the internet into kind of like one location where we can search and
Hmm.
query the internet. So that's a great example of small is bigger because the internet is so much bigger than Google, and it's so much bigger than even
100%.
like whoever somebody's local internet service provider is. It's so much bigger than these things.
Hmm.
But since we made it smaller and more accessible and more understandable, and increased the usability of it while decreasing the drain it has on resources, that's what made it better.
And do you think regulation will nudge teams towards smaller, controllable models in the near future?
I don't know if regulation will. I think
Hmm.
that's a thing that we as builders in the space and investors in the space have to decide to say, hey, uh, it's cool that we're creating this crazy thing that can have the potential to change humanity permanently, for however long as humanity exists. But let's do it in a way where we give humanity a chance to experience it at least. So I think that's just it's just a slowdown from capital, from throwing money at you. I don't think this is a problem where you can solve by having having the most money now. I think it's a problem you solve with having a different perspective.
Hmm. And what's the biggest, or what do you think is the biggest misconception about model size that you'd like to debunk?
Probably that bigger is better. Just because it's like, so like from
100%.
a human standpoint, just because if a human knows everything, it doesn't mean they can use everything, use all of that
Hmm.
knowledge. So, and just the same way humans think, and you have to take a break sometimes to think about something. using your compute power to say, oh man, what was the name of that guy in that movie? You have to think about all the movies you've seen and all the guys and everything, and you finally get to the answer. It's literally almost the same way with a computer. But if it's about something that you are super well versed in, a subject that you care a lot about. For instance, for me, might maybe like basketball or like uh, something LeBron James related. When it comes to basketball, I'll be able to recite something a little quicker than if you ask me about Muggsy Bogues' shooting percentage. Like I know Muggsy Bogues was a basketball player, but I don't know that much information about it. So it's just, yeah, just having access to all the information doesn't mean you have access to be able to use all the information.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people listening will be able to relate to that. And then going to our last segment, how do SLMs change the game in financial services specifically?
And again, these are thoughts. These are just my perspective of how I see things could be used potentially. In financial services, it just will be able to understand their customer much better, especially
Mm-hmm.
if they're using their customer data or obtaining customer data through means that are outside of surveillance, and they're more so inside of, hey, we want to help you control your finances a little better. Let us give us access to this stuff, and the benefit will be you overdraft your account less, you have more free spending because we see these other things that you might not necessarily use. Like Rocket Money has that thing where you can turn off subscriptions. It'll find
Mm-hmm.
subscriptions that you might not be using, and you can like cancel the subscription and save money, like things like that. Uh, Useful tools that take your personal data and combine it with what's happening in the markets and combining it with various wealth strategies to be able to help people generate. I'm not going to say wealth, but generate some extra income potentially. And also, it can help secure financial data better. It can help secure personal
Mm-hmm.
information a lot better than it is now. Like in America, we get a data breach, well, probably like
Yeah.
every other week. There's a data breach, and our all of our social security numbers, which we use to obtain things, have been exposed for almost a decade now. And they keep getting exposed again and again, and they're not issuing new social security numbers. So it's like it doesn't matter. Like you could have terrible credit and work on it for years and years and years and build it up, and then randomly somebody can take your social and do whatever they want with it. So things like that. It also can help with compliance. You
Mm-hmm.
can see where potentially you're going too far one way. It can help with risk assessment, like actual risk assessment, because it's based off of real human data, and not s- synthetic, preconceived, trained data on whatever you think is happening in a situation with a demographic or a certain group of people or individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So it can remove a lot of bias from a lot of practices in finance. And in removing and helping all these things, you increase revenue naturally, because you increase efficiency, you increase trust. Um, you no longer hope people overdraft their accounts so you can charge them an extra fee. You're now helping them to create more money. So then, it's just so many things. It turns the finance industry from predatory to helpful, I believe, is the biggest thing.
And part of what I heard as well is, I mean, SLMs will be able to personalize a service for me, for Johan Mejia, for you, for Michael Polk. I mean, you and I have different understanding of what wealth is, what companies I like, what interests I have. So I think you mentioned that, and it was something people will relate to, and I think that's what the new generations are looking for. Some type of personalization for any of the types of services that we pay for.
Yeah.
We want to see more of that. And what role do partnerships, and that could be data providers, regulators, and even competitors, play here in this era?
A lot. I mean, people. I think we went too far in the competition side of things and competitive. That's why you get people who measure their success by their net worth, which is a horrible metric. Um, so I mean that's the one main way people compete, and companies
Hmm.
compete and believe that like because we have this much market share, we're the leader and the most competitive. And the ability to purchase market share should also not be a metric as well. It should be how well are you serving the people, and how are they able to help other people because of how you're serving them. I feel like that's the much better metric to go by. Um, so, what was the exact question again? Oh,
The
the
role
role
on the.
cooperation. So yeah, so the role of cooperation will be in turn in the future. Every organization, every company will have their own small language model with their own data, with their own unique customer information that they'll have, and in order
Mhm.
to enhance their services, they'll need the information and data that other companies have as well. And it can be anonymized and it can be tokenized so that way the customers benefit from that data sharing and
Mhm.
selling as well. But I think that's the number one benefit cooperation will be. It would just be able to say, oh, uh, Pepsi has this kind of information and data on their customers, and they're getting this kind of feedback about certain products. And then Coca-Cola has this information and data about their customers and their product and feedback. What can both of
Mhm.
these companies then do to help not only their customers potentially become healthier and more diehard fans of their product, but also how can they work together to change how much plastic they're using or the type of plastics they're using
Mhm.
to create a better environment for everybody as well, because they understand this much. They understand that if each of their customers are willing to accept that, okay, the price might go up 20 cent, but we'll no longer use plastic that just sits in oceans. We'll use plastic that if it hits the oceans, it'll turn into kelp and feed algae type situation, right?
That would be crazy.
Right. But they have the resources and ability to
Yeah.
do this. And then they can reach out to the American Plastic Company and say, hey, we are both your largest purchasers. We want to use this type of
Mhm.
plastic now. Let's get this involved because this is what our customers are saying. And we see the forecast between our data that this was increase revenue and increase this and increase that and decrease these things. So it will be more so we'll have access to data and understanding of each other that we've probably never had in human history. And understanding each other is the goal of being alive almost.
Thank you, Michael. And then, what's the thing that excites you the most about AI for the next 3 to 5 years?
The next 35,
Or it could be the one that scares you the most, whatever you want to do.
uh, I could possibly do both. The thing that scares me the
Yeah, let's
most
do both.
is that everybody is spending a lot of money and using a lot of resources doing things the wrong way. Because they feel like it's the right way to do it, and they won't listen
Mhm.
to anyone else or even try to take in outside perspectives from the bubbles that they're used to. Uh, that's the thing that scares me the most. The thing that excites me the most is, yeah, the introduction of small language models and small language model data centers and seeing the reduction in compute and resource usage just drastically drop, and just yeah, just becomes way more environmentally friendly for not only the water usage and heat usage and environmental damage, but also the communities and where these data centers are being put. It's just
100%.
we can create a cycle of beneficial usage versus um, usage, and who cares about the repercussions, because we're building towards this thing that will help everybody. I think you can build something to help everybody while helping everybody in the process.
100%. And if you had to bet which industry will go all in on SLMs first, which one would you pick and why?
Probably marketing,
Yeah,
uh, just because marketing runs the world. Everything is marketing
that's
at
pretty
this
solid.
point.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, marketing is what people, I mean, it's visual and sometimes audio, text even.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
It's
mean that
everything.
actually does make
It's
sense.
story. It's the art of storytelling. How to get people to adopt a thing. So
Hmm.
if you understand your customers much better, you'll be able to market to them much better. So I mean, people want to see
100%.
advertisements. People want to be informed about products and sales and things, but just not about every product and every sale and everything. There are things you actually use and look forward to using and doing that you would be happy to see. Like for instance, on my Instagram, I see ads for purchasing private jets. Granted,
Hmm.
I would love to do that, but today is not the day. I don't need to see that advertisement today.
Yeah, that's 100% right. Because I was actually complaining to my wife earlier, and I was getting a bunch of ads for like $1 million houses here in Guatemala that I would love to purchase someday, but I can't right now. I'm
Yeah,
focused on some other stuff, and it's nonstop because I clicked on one ad once like 3 days ago. So for the past 3 or 4 days, that's all I've seen.
yeah.
Really big houses that I can't afford.
Yeah, and it's like they're wasting dollars. So it's like they're looking at their ad campaign return on investment, and it's like, oh, this isn't working like you said it would. And it's just because of surveillance. Again, like you said, you clicked just because you were interested. But if you had your
Hmm.
own small language model out there, um, providing different places with data and information that is really about you, um, they would understand, okay, we'll bookmark him for later because he's doing something that where he could eventually be able to afford this, but right now it's just not the best time.
100%. And then right now we'll enter that quick fire round.
Okay.
So we'll do 4 questions, and we're looking for 10 to 15-second answers.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and get started with the first one. What's the most overrated trend in AI right now?
Chatbots.
100%. Most underrated advantage of SLMs or small language models?
Everything. Everything about them is underrated. Nobody's paying attention right now.
100%. One mistake you see founders making while trying to incorporate or adopt AI?
Mm, everyone thinks it's one size fits all, or everyone is trying to figure out how to become agentic somehow.
Hmm. Yeah, it's I think the most popular word on LinkedIn now.
Yeah.
And last question, one book, podcast, or resource you'd recommend to first time founders?
Ooh, that's a good one. One book, podcast, or resource. One book I would recommend is Ego is the Enemy.
hundred
By
percent.
Ryan.
One of my favorite books ever.
By Ryan Holiday. That's a great read for anybody that's trying to do anything with other people. Um,
100%.
Podcast. I'm not. I'm not big in podcasting yet. Um, so yeah. I'm not big on podcasts. And then you said one.
If I could recommend one,
Okay.
it's called Acquired. I There was an earlier guest that recommended that to me today. I'm not a big podcast fan either. I usually like to listen to music while I work or something similar to that. But today I listened to the Visa episode, and I can share that with you later on.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a 3 hour and 43 minute episode, super long. I don't usually even listen to music for that long, but I thought it's about the how it went from the birth of the founders of Visa to where they're at now. So they give you the whole picture of how they got there, and the way they present it and talk about it, I thought was really interesting.
Okay.
So if you'd like, I'll share that with you
Yes,
later on.
please. Thank you. Thank you. And then what was the other thing? Podcast, book, or
Or resource.
resource?
Could be newsletter,
For
or
potential founders,
a course.
even though it's becoming um, kind of cringy. LinkedIn is.
Hundred
Because everybody types the same kind of post. But I love to. I think LinkedIn is still a good place to have safe contact with people that could potentially
percent.
help you, and they could and you can see through other people's networks and friends, especially if you know the person, to say, "Hey, do you know this
Mm-hmm.
person? Could you like?" It's an easy way to find introductions to people that
A
can
hundred
help you along
percent.
your path. So yes, I do still have to give a shout out to LinkedIn. I have some suggestions on how to make it a little better, but for now, yeah, LinkedIn.
Well, thank you for that. That was actually the end of the quickfire round. And circling back to ego as the enemy. I mean, I usually like reading a book and then not reading it again for a few
Yeah.
years. Ego is the enemy is the only book I've read back to back.
Oh, really?
Because first time I read it, I was like, God damn, this is crazy. Without and the fact that he doesn't go into that much detail, that he just tells you, like the prompt, shares a little story, and then closes out the prompt.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about the book. It's not a long book, easy to read, easy to digest, and a lot of big learnings from that book.
Yeah, The Alchemist was like that for me. When I read it, I was like, "Oh
The
man, I have to
Alchemist.
read this again." It was, and I recently read it with my niece, and I just got more
Ah,
insight from
nice.
that. But yeah, the ego is the enemy. I think it need. I think the name makes you frame it as like it's a bad thing. Ego is a bad thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
But what I've recently thought about or discovered personally is like your ego isn't actually an enemy, and it's not something you get rid of. Your ego is more so like another child inside of you that you have to raise. It's like another version
Mm-hmm.
of you that you have to make sure is maturing alongside of you, with all the things and the tools and the lessons you learn in life. You just have to realize that like this is a piece of me that literally only I influence.
A hundred percent.
And I decide what this I turns into. If it wants to be an ego of understanding and acceptance, or ego of
Mm-hmm.
it's me versus everybody. Like the ego of the self-made people, the people that say they're self-made, and there's not like literally not a single person that's self-made. in this entire planet.
100%.
So everybody has some kind of help from somebody from somewhere at some time, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not, or you're able to recognize it or not. That's the difference.
Mhm.
But I think that's what ego is an enemy will help people understand. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of worlds. There are 8 billion people on Earth. There are 8 billion variations of Earth.
Yeah, that's a great, crazy way to put it. And thank you for sharing that. And right now we'll just go to the closing section. So after that, we'll just close it out and finish. So today we covered Michael's journey with stockpile AI, why small language models may define the next chapter of AI, and the real adoption barriers and misconceptions. Also, how SLMs could reshape finance and beyond. So, a sharp look at growing smarter, not just bigger. So, Michael, thank you for your time. This has been a fascinating conversation, not just about stockpile AI, but about where AI is truly headed. And for everyone listening, learn more about stockpile AI at stockpile. That's stockpal.ai. We'll link it in the show notes below, and also give Michael Polk a follow on LinkedIn. And to our community, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with a colleague. It helps more builders discover these kinds of conversations. Michael, thanks again for joining. Excited to see how Stockpile AI continues to shape the next chapter of AI.
Johan, thank you. I appreciate you. It was a pleasure.